That's the difference between, say, Gary's approach and other people versus a lot of what's on the air right now. The other thing, I agree with Kathy, the idea of composite premiums, or premiums that are reflecting a politics that where each producer who's regularly on the air takes a stab at what's happening with civil liberties. That's great. That's what a lot of us have been pushing for, you know, but I haven't heard that yet, right? Maybe that'll happen next time, but I haven't heard that yet this time. And I think that's really important to keep the programs going that are on the air regularly, that are regularly heard on the air with those producers, and have them work with, you know, under some focus, so that you're doing. And I think that's great. Another idea that Jennifer had before that she forgot to say, I believe, is why don't we have a, well, she told me about it and I thought it was a good idea, is why don't we have a debate on the air over the premiums. So people who don't like the health premiums get to challenge them, people who like it challenge it, and you have a debate and you make that a premium in itself. And so that's because there's a lot of concern. Doug Henwood's article, his letter, was just raising the tip of the iceberg on it. I've gotten, I mean, you say you got a lot. I got a lot of mail just from this morning based on Doug Henwood's letter, and I didn't even send it out all that widely, right? I sent it out to a few places. So that's, you know, so that's really an important thing to take into consideration, I think. I'm concerned about the premiums that we don't have in stock, right? That we keep pitching on the air and we don't have them in stock to send out. I know you're aware of this, I know Bertel is aware of this, but it's still happening. And there's no money, or you're trying to find money to buy the stuff ahead of time, but in my view, we should not be pitching things that we don't have in stock, because it just pisses off the people, and the numbers on it are very strange. According to what I have here, there were $1,600,000 worth of pledges that were made in the past year, but were not shipped premiums. That's 1.6 million versus 752,000 pledges that were paid and were shipped. So it's almost 2 to 1 not shipped in terms of the money, not in terms of the actual number of premiums, but the amount of money that each premium represented. And that's a pretty staggering amount. And then there are, well, the other stuff is for Bertel, some of the questions on how to deal with that. So I want to know, what is the policy? Is that policy changing? You know, I would hope that it's changing on that. And finally, I just wanted to mention, to hear it repeated, I turned on the radio at 7 in the morning 2 days ago, and I heard cancer, cancer, cancer. Okay, so I turned it off again. It's like the last thing I want to hear at 7 in the morning. Then, without it being a political drive on it, then I turned it on at night, like sometime in the middle of the night, and there was the same thing being repeated without even being updated from the previous drive. You know, so you have the same people from a drive ago, or 2 drives ago, saying the same thing, and it's a real problem. You know, it's like we're being harangued, you know, and we're being squeezed, and as if the listeners are only, you know, there to be squeezed money out of until, you know, we're dry. And so Alex and Russell's and others' concerns, I think, are really valid in terms of we need a vision to move us out of this mode altogether, and to have a different way of approaching all this. So that's what I have to say. I don't know if you want to comment?
No, not so.
Would you comment, please?
Next is Nia.
Good evening, Tony.
Good evening.
Well, first, I'm sorry, the mic is on?
Just face it into it, because you're whispering as it is.
Is that good enough?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I said good evening. I guess everybody heard that now to Tony. But let me just say that I appreciate and respect the fact that when you heard about Cass Ingram, that you pulled him. So, and I mean that sincerely. So it's good, you know, if that were to happen with somebody else, that you are consistent with your principal, and I guess I have all confidence that you will do that. You talked about gravitas, right? I can't think of a more dignified person than Dr. John Henry Clark, whose premium that we should pitch. I haven't heard him anymore. I haven't, if I'm incorrect, then I apologize that I'm incorrect. If somebody
Yeah,
else
he
has-
I heard more, at least one.
Oh, okay, thanks, Mario. Mario, this is 24/7, but this is directed at Tony though. The other person is Tim Wise going?
Not recent.
Is Tim Wise going to be, pitched? I haven't heard Tim.
Haven't heard him.
No, we don't have him planned to pitch this trial.
Why? I mean,
Okay, so is there any reason why those two men aren't being used? They used to raise a lot of money.
John Henry Clark hasn't recorded anything new for a long time.
yeah, he's dead.
That's the joke, hello.
It was just on a feeling.
Little humor, folks.
Thank you.
Howard Zinn is also dead.
And so is Malcolm
But he
X.
just died. Here's the deal. We have used John Henry Clark in almost every fund drive since I've been here, excepting this one. In almost every drive, repeatedly. In the same way that we've repeated these other programs.
No, not in the same.
You're mistaken.
No, not. I listen to the station.
All right. Tim Wise, we have not used in the same way. And we don't have plans to use him this time.
Any particular reason?
Here's a particular reason.
What is it?
It was, it's a decision that we made.
On the basis of?
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, it should be, you should
No,
let him in,
just
but it is a
we're not here to
legitimate question.
harangue. Well, then let somebody get on the staff. Don't just
Oh,
allow-
that's right.
I
answered the
Yeah,
question.
don't just
I
let people
was on the
to
staff and
harangue
I
us.
asked the question, any particular reason? I don't know, is that a clear question? Any particular reason? That's what I said.
Yeah, there's a particular reason. I find that anybody who is actively attempting to tear down our network, that we ought not support them. Why would we use our airways to support that person? I have to ask that question. And he was doing that at the time, and so at that time we made the decision not to use him. Once we made that decision, we have used him in the past. But if if anybody in this room were walking around actively flying from coast to coast, attempting to ruin Pacifica or WBAI, I would not like to give them airtime to continue to do so.
What exactly are you saying though? What did he do? I'm not familiar with what he exactly said. You can't.
Leon, are you?
I
He
can't
said to
remember.
carry on, so I wonder exactly what Tim did.
I answered that question.
No, you didn't.
He said Tim.
Go research it.
He said to Terry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Bertha?
He attacked WBAI in Pacifica.
Okay, next person is going to get to, the next person is Manijeh, then Janet, then Bobby.
Mike, actually, as I have talked to you, I think Ian Master is really what he talks about, and especially I've listened to him. He's a warmonger, and for Pacifica, with the peace and justice place, having a warmonger, actually it was very interesting, and I have talked with you about it. That he had, it was a program, and I specifically had been trying to listen to him after I heard some friends from Peace Movement talk to me about this. He had a CIA person was pushing back on him when he was promoting attacking Iran, obliterating Iran. The CIA person was pushing him back constantly, but he was promoting that warmongering, that right-wing Zionist, imperialist type of argument. And I think, to me, our mission is so important to us. We cannot have people that they go totally in 100-degree in opposition, 180-degree in opposition to our mission. And I think that if other stations have been using it, I'm really sorry to hear that. It's very important for us. And if he's somebody who's, I don't mind he's talking about that, but we have to have discussion. He has to have either listeners' input and other people who question his arguments. In that occasion, I don't know, I'm Iranian, and I'm very familiar with the politics and discussions on this issue. So I could pick up on where he was being pushed back, but it was not that clear. You know, if somebody didn't have all the arguments with the region and all that. But I think I see a problem with that. I really think we have, it's a hard decision. I'm not saying we have to, I'm not saying where you are sitting is the easy decisions to make, but I want the prime mover of planning and programming should be our mission. That's on
Well,
that.
who's
The
this
other
person?
thing,
Who's this person?
Ian Master. And the other thing that I want, you know, we have had lots of right-wing academics who have one language, and we have so many of Horowitz and all sorts of them, that they have one so-called liberal position, and then everything else is wrapped around, you know, the reactionary position. And these are the traps. These are the traps. And the other thing, you know, within the same line, I would support, it was 30 years ago, I would not support art programming because I didn't understand. But then I support art programming that are very progressive and contextualize what is happening. We have lots of old-timers that they bring, you know, a lot, you know, old-timers that they are bring, they would generate a lot of support for the station, and younger generation whose program, you know, whose maybe whose music or whatever, you know, comedy, whatever they have that is appropriate for the radio, put everything in the context and they discuss it. And I think we need to use those people. We can use those people, and it would be good because then you have the younger generation who's being educated and perpetuated education of education about peace and justice, which is the mission. I think in terms of fundraising, actually, I find it difficult to see and hear BAI constantly. People are making money off the back of BAI. I would go starting from Gary Knoll. Gary Knoll was very good. What you said about the contextual and talking about the system was very good. But he's a corporation to himself. And I resent the fact that people are using BAI to promote their work, to promote the books, they promote this and that. I think we need to move to some of the creative fundraising, which is not necessarily on air, but gets the progressive and the people who are concerned about peace and justice, especially at this time, to have some other, legacy programs, bequests and all sorts of things, to get people to participate in that on the background. And BAI and Pacifica needs to have something like that going on. That we get people who are supporting this type of program, your station, or they think is important. The other thing I think in terms of programming, if we, maybe it's not necessarily your program, but if we have program that is wide-reaching, we have to have web presence, creative web presence or new technology. I haven't gone beyond email and my cell phone, and I'm not going to go there, but there are many, many people who are, and we have to capture them, and internationally we can capture them. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening.
I will just say that I agree with most of your points. In terms of web presence, it is unfortunately another one of those personnel issues. We can only pay our webmaster part-time. He does what he can do. We have recently put up a Facebook page to begin to at least make contact with that portion of the audience. At this point, I've forgotten the statistic. I don't want to say the statistic. Lots of people are on Facebook. Most of them are in their 30s, not below. The majority of the people on Facebook are actually over 33 years old. And this is the audience that we really should be connecting with, because some of them have disposable income, and many of them are just our audience. So we are at least beginning to look in those directions when we can, in between, and what we can do. We've started that much, and we will probably further that, or make the page a little more interactive. We don't have the station up on it yet, but we just got it going a few days ago. It's been up for a while, but we've just started activating it a few days ago.
So,
Wait, Manijeh, we're running out of time. I wanted to let the last three people on the list talk. Yeah.
No,